why.
Well, there could be worse ways to end a Tuesday in the middle of a pandemic in another country than that. Jazzy Judy was fantastic today. I said to Jim King after, I said, I might drive bad, but never twice. That's a lie. But she raced fantastic tonight. I was lucky. I said, somebody said, gee, she raced good and you drove her good. And, I'll be quite frank. For me to drive so bad last week, coming into tonight, I didn't want to make a mistake. I didn't want to hurt the filly. I thought we had the best horse in the division, but I got her beat last week and drove her bad. And then, I was talking to Greg. There's Gregory. Greg picked me up at the Philadelphia airport and drove me to Delaware. I had said to Greg, I said, the one horse is going to leave. All I have to do is leave hard enough to get in behind him and let the rest take care of itself.
He did say that.
I did, yes. I knew exactly how the race was going to go. Now the 4-horse being parked was just a cherry on top. All I had to do was just bide my time and, put it this way. It's not easy to drive horses, but to drive like that, think of it this way. What happens if I pop into the 2-hole, the one takes me to the head of the lane, 3 slides up the inside and wins the race? Now I got egg in my face 2 weeks in a row and I just cost everybody thousands of dollars. And, to be quite frank, to be able to drive like that and drive properly is a combination of two things. Knowing I can only do the best I can, and more importantly, the most important thing is having confidence in my clients behind me. Knowing that, I drove bad last week. Tomorrow the sun will come up, so to speak, at least in some places. And you got to move on. You're only human and you make mistakes. And to come out tonight, popping out of that 2-hole, don't think for a second that there wasn't voices in my head saying, I don't know if this is the right move and you're going to get in trouble. But, as soon as I came out of the hole, I knew she was a winner. And it didn't matter who was in the 3-wide lane. It didn't matter. I knew she was just going to start to pick up speed. She was trotting faster at the tote board than she was when I moved anywhere else in the mile. She just showed tonight that she's a nice filly. A lot of people say, oh, they're Delaware breds and, they're not very good horses. When all things are said and done, they're just horses. But I'm going to tell you one thing. I said to Greg, when you beat a 2-year-old, think of it. Here's the 2-year-old filly. Here's a 2-year-old filly that broke her knee in May, had a fragment taken out of her knee, then was on a very tight schedule to get back to the races. She come back to Harrington. She won her first start, but she didn't look good. She was sore her second start, looked terrible her third start. Come back to the Meadows. She tied up either in transit or at the Meadows. Worked. Tim Twaddle and his crew worked diligently to get that AST down to a point where I could train her in 2.6, brought her here, warmed her up. The veterinarian did everything but scratch her. He was keeping a very close eye on this filly because she couldn't function. She never trotted the length of this truck in the warm-up. She was terrible. Went out and win 2-2 by 6 lengths, looked like $1 million. Come back the next start and got driven all over the track. You couldn't script a worse drive than I gave her last week. And as I was just about to say, to have a filly and you just crush her spirits going into a race like that, they don't race like that. Horses don't come back and race the way Jazzy Judy did tonight after being obliterated last week, a week ago in a stake race. This is a filly who had, lameness issues, who had a lot of maturing issues. Somehow summoned the power and the strength to win the first elimination and look good. And then I just come out and kneecap her the next week and drive her like a complete idiot. And then for her to come out and race the way she did tonight, I know she's a political briefing. I know she's a Delaware bred. But man, oh man, that's a trait of a good horse. And I couldn't be prouder of Jazzy Judy tonight. And it wasn't that I drove her good. I just didn't screw her up. She was very, very good tonight. So I'm very, very pleased. Obviously, a huge end of the year for Jazzy Judy. That pushes her earnings over $70,000 US. America 59 as a 2-year-old. 6 starts, 3 wins? A third, a fourth, and a break. Pretty good year. That'll be it for her. She's going to a field. Jimmy asked me after, he goes, you want her sent back to Canada? I said, it's cold in Canada. Why don't we just pick a field for her anywhere? I said, if you don't have a place that you think is great down here in Delaware, we'll send her to a place in Ohio. I think Mark might have a room in Winterwood, and if he doesn't, he will in a week when we start taking horses back to Ontario. So anywhere nice. Place with a big paddock for Jazzy Judy to grow up and become what I hope she'll be is a really good 3-year-old trotting filly. So I'm super pumped, as you can see, about Jazzy Judy tonight. A great end to a very difficult time. You know, he's talking about shutdowns and lockdowns and, you know, COVID. It's just been a tough year for all of us. And to go out in the United States of America like this was just an incredible feeling. And not to take anything, how fast did West 52nd trot tonight? It had to be 53 in a piece.
Yeah, high 53s, but I mean, the track was so fast tonight.
He's trying, Mr. Pessimism.
No, I'm just saying.
He raced huge. Those were aged horses, and he raced.
The other 6 horses in that race had a combined 116 wins.
Yeah, there you go. Wow. So, I mean, West 52nd race, great to leave. And then, you know, I snuck him out in the last turn a bit. The footing down on the rail isn't as great. That might have played a role. That's how powerful Jazzy was, too. But this is a funny little track, and West 52nd race good. Was he beat like half a length for third? I thought the horse raced very, very good.
Yeah.
So West 52nd was good. Jazzy Judy was great. The horses were good yesterday. I am on my way back to Ontario. Did you happen to see how? Don't believe you just watched it. I didn't see. I'm going to watch the replay here in a minute. Anyway, good luck with him, although it's a little belated now. Just a great, great night here on my way back to catch my plane back to Buffalo, back to Canada. That's a wrap for 2020 in the United States of America.